Hello friends, and welcome back to Melody's Movie Monday Review. Today we are talking about Tucker and Dale versus Evil. And I feel like some people might say, but Melody, this is not a horror movie and you only talk about horror movies. To which I would say, this does qualify as a horror movie. Just because there is some comedic value to a film does not mean that it instantly gets wiped out as a horror film. Anybody who's seen this movie, I feel like, can say for certain that there is many horror elements to it. They really do try to follow along with like the typical horror film. So this one came out in 2010, which, oh my goodness, the fact that I'm about to say this movie is 15 years old hurts my heart. I does not feel like it's been that long, even a little bit. So it's a little bit of an older one. It's one of those movies where I feel like if you don't know anything about it, you haven't seen anything, and you want to watch it, you should just go in blind. Don't do like any kind of research beforehand. It's just one of those movies where it's a lot more enjoyable and fun if you just don't really know the entire premise beforehand. So the movie is set up like a very typical, kind of like an 80s teen slasher type film where we're following this group of kids. They are young adults. I think that they're supposed to be in college. Yes. But they look like they're probably like 40. So it's a little difficult to stay in the mindset of these are just teenagers. But nonetheless, that is how they are portrayed. So we get to follow them along, and they're on the road trip and they're getting ready to just go camping for the weekend. But they have to make a stop at the convenience store gas station because they forgot the booze. And you can't go camping without booze. Everybody knows that. So they stop at this station, and this is where we meet Tucker and Dale. And from the perspective of the kids, they just see two hillbillies who look like they're like up to no good. They're sizing them up. To them, it looks like they could be trouble. They look like they could be in danger if they hang around these two for too long. So that's the perspective you see from their point of view. And then the movie switches where it's the point of view of Tucker and Dale. And Dale is just smitten completely by the one girl who, she's just like a pretty blonde who I think she's dating the one, the main guy of the friend group, who of course is an asshole. Like, it's just a very stereotypical, like, this has been done kind of thing. But the funny part and the different part is the way that these kids are seeing Tucker and Dale versus how Tucker and Dale are seeing them. So it does kind of, like, there's actually honestly like a good message, like kind of just don't make assumptions about people in this movie, but it does make for a very funny movie. So they have a weird kind of interaction, they go their separate ways, and then of course they end up running into each other later because the cabin that Tucker and Dale are staying at is like near where the teens are camping, and Tucker and Dale, I think, were going fishing, I want to say. They were out on like in the lake, and these teens were going skinny dipping, I believe, and the one girl who Dale was smitten by previously, I believe, I don't know if she falls or dies, but she hits her head and is going to basically drown, like she passes out. So Dale saves her, and her friends like aren't around anymore. I think that they thought that Tucker and Dale like captured her and took her like as like their hostage. Like, who knows what like they're gonna do with her is basically how the kids have seen it. But then of course it switches back to the other side where it's like they just wanted to help. Well, Dale mostly just wanted to help this girl, and now he has her all like bandaged up, laying down on their couch or whatever. And again, teen's perspective, it looks terrible, but in reality, they're just trying to do the right thing, which is just what makes this movie so comedic to me. So as the time goes on, this is when the horror elements start to kind of pick up. Tucker and Dale, they never once try to commit any sort of like crimes. They don't try to hurt anybody. They're very like keep to themselves, don't want anything to do with anybody, but somehow it just continues to look like they are the ones that are doing all these bad things. So like one by one, these teens start offing themselves on accident, but every time it just looks like it was something that Tucker and Dale were trying to do. So one of my favorites is like the one guy, he runs and he ends up somehow in a wood chipper, and it cuts to Tucker, and this isn't the exact line, but it's something along these lines, and I say it probably weekly. It's just the way that he says it is so funny to me. He says, these kids keep killing themselves on my property. It's like some suicide pact. Like, it's the suicide pact for me that I thought was really funny. So to them, it looks like these kids are just trying to off themselves, and he doesn't know what to do. He's like, stop doing that. But to them, it looks like they're the ones who are initiating. It's a whole thing, and it's really funny. There's several different scenes, deaths, that it's just absolutely, like, it's just like ridiculous how it happened, and it's so funny. Like, it was very like Final Destination-y, where it's like, how did we get here? But that's like that's just the most amusing part of it. So yes, very funny. I find myself laughing the entire movie, but then, you know, you see the kills, and I feel like those really bring the horror elements because of how like gruesome they are. I mean, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of guts for some of these. So I think, to me, it's one of those horror comedies, and that's why I'm very confident to classify this as a horror film still. So yeah, the movie goes on. There's some kind of like story side plot that it is important, but to me, when watching the movie, it's not really something I care about very much. Basically, the girl's boyfriend is trying to come and save her, and he wants to go after Tucker and Dale, thinking that they did all these bad things. And then it turns out that the boyfriend is actually like really bad, and it's this whole kind of situation, but that's not the part that I care about at all. I'm here for the comedy probably more than anything. I mean, the kills on top of it are a plus, absolutely. But I just feel like these characters, they just bring some sort, like a kind of humor that you don't get very often in movies. And truly, this is a movie that I wish there was more of. Like this is a very unique film to me, and I don't feel like I've seen anything like it before. So yeah, we get like our happy ending and everything. Tucker goes through it though, let me tell you. Like, he loses, I think, some fingers along the way, but he's okay. Yeah, overall, fun movie, very fun movie. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I kind of want to give it a 10 out of 10, but I feel like everybody's gonna start to think that I just like throw those out, because I like to rate movies high. I just love movies, and I think you have to really, really mess up for me to not enjoy it to at least like a 7, you know? You have to probably you have to tank that one if I'm not, you know. It means you probably have a boring story, in my opinion. It takes a lot for me to stay focused sometimes. So if I'm not hooked within like 10 minutes, then your movie's probably not going to be making it too much longer for me. But that's my own personal problem, my attention span. So 9 out of 10. I love Tucker and Dale. I feel like I need to watch it now, since I've just been talking about it and laughing at it in my head. So I'm gonna go and put that on and just enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. So I hope you guys enjoyed me ranting about Tucker and Dale. Again, I always am looking for recommendations on what to talk about next week. So if you have anything, please drop them below. Yeah, so I will be coming at you then, and yeah, bye guys, see you then.